Welcome back to NBA Cinema. So we have to talk about Julius Randle on today and his departure from the New York Knicks and landing with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And his wife, she actually spoke out about some of the difficulties in being traded and some of the things they've had to do in this short turnaround time. Because remember, that deal was announced over the weekend and media day was Monday for all of the other teams, right? So um, it was like at the last minute before the teams had to come in, and start training camp, and so now they practicing, they doing all that. Let's get into what Kendra said, what she had to say about it. She's been very complimentary of the Knicks on her way out, and also Julius Randle thanked New York, knowing that organization gave him the platform to be an all-star, to show what he could do in the NBA with his stops. With the Lakers, he played with LeBron and he was a younger player. New Orleans, AD was still there, and then you had Boogie, so he was like the sixth man. But New York afforded him the opportunity to show what he can do and made him, a sought-after commodity in the NBA. So yeah, man, let's listen to Kendra. Let's listen to what she got to say. Let's speak.
Touch up my hair and makeup with me while I tell you guys what it's like to be traded from an NBA team as a first timer. Okay, I have to hold my phone, so scratch that. But for those of you who don't know, my husband played for the New York Knicks. We were there for 5 seasons, and about 72 hours ago, we got traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves 2 days before training camp. So the past 72 hours have been crazy, to say the least. This is actually our first time that we've been traded in 11 seasons, which is pretty good for the NBA. So we've been really lucky with that. But the timing isn't the easiest because our son already started school. We have 2 boys. They are 7 and 2. And our 7-year-old had already started 2nd grade. That's how my life has been. So the next day after the trade happened, my husband and I flew here to Minnesota immediately because we have to find a house, schools for our kids, get settled in, get him all organized, because as soon as the trade is finalized, he starts practice and training camp with the team immediately. So meanwhile, our stuff is being packed up in New York, and our kids are finishing one last week of school, and I'm here trying to get us a home and schools for them to come to and all of our stuff to come to. So it is pretty hectic. I'm really grateful that it's actually not in the middle of the season, like before the trade deadline or whatever. But it has been pretty crazy for our first time and unexpected. And I'm not gonna lie, when we heard Minnesota, it was pretty shocking, although we were so ready to leave New York. Living in a condo with 2 kids is so hard. I don't care what anyone says. It was a great experience, but we were already looking to move outside of the city. It was just getting so hard and overwhelming for us, because my husband's from Texas and I'm from Kentucky, and that's just not how we grew up. But when we heard Minnesota, it was pretty shocking. But when we got here, we were driving around and I'm like, these neighborhoods are gorgeous. Like, we love it. It's so beautiful. The people are so nice. There's so many nice restaurants. It's just things that you wouldn't know. I know it gets cold, but it's cold in New York too. And I heard they make the most of the snow here. So we're really excited for a new switch up, a new chapter for our family. That being said, the hardest part by far was telling our 7-year-old that he had to leave his school and friends. That was the hardest conversation, and honestly the hardest part for Julius and I too. Leaving that community. The school is incredible. The parents, the boys. He's so sad. He's been so sad all week, and everyone is just so sad that he's leaving. So that's the really hard part about the NBA and the family aspect of it, is that, it affects all the kids, the whole family, and they have to uproot their life. As adults, we can deal with it and move on, but for kids, it's really tough. So now this is kind of the first time that we're understanding that and living it. So that is by far the hardest part. Other than that, we're super blessed and can just deal with it and have the means to go and do it. So I don't really have any complaints. I'm just super grateful for this new chapter for our family. But if you have any questions, comment them and I'll answer and keep updating you guys along the way.
Julius Randle will forever be associated with the turnaround of the New York Knicks and being that first player, when they were being spurned by the KDs, the Kyries, and everyone in between, going to different teams. You even had, KD and Kyrie go to Brooklyn instead of New York. Julius Randle went there and, played really well, and the team started to turn it around. And then you bring in Jalen Brunson. Now they're obviously seen as a potential contender to come out of the Eastern Conference, up there amongst the top contenders. So Julius Randle can hang his hat on his time with the New York Knicks. And I think the split is hard, for Knicks fans. I think it comes at a good time, when the Knicks are on the up and up. They had 2 straight years where they got to the same part of the playoffs. Julius Randle didn't play the way that he would have wanted to in the 2 previous postseasons, but I think the split now allows it not to change his narrative as far as what he meant to New York. Now, if he would have came back with these new expectations and he didn't play as well, I think there would have been some other criticisms. But I actually think the way that Cat opens up the floor for the New York Knicks, I think Julius Randle brings that physicality down low against a Dallas Mavericks team, or against a Denver Nuggets, that, Minnesota will need going forward. He'll go right through your chest. He'll be the strongest forward on the court most nights. Other than when he's playing Giannis, he is typically the strongest 4-man, on the floor. So he's able to get to spots on the floor. And really, Randle, we talk about how Cat offensively can open up things. Randle can go for 35, 40 on a given night, average mid-20s, for an entire season. He's capable of that. So it's going to be interesting, though, to see his role, because it feels like Minnesota has gone all in on Naz Reid by parting ways with Cat. So I'll be interested to see what Randle's exact role with the team is. You have Rudy Gobert still there, who's obviously going to start. My thought, though, is who starts between Randle and Naz Reid? And if Randle goes to the bench, how does that, work out for him at this point in his career? I think they can still do some special things, but I just wonder which 4-man the team is all the way in on. But looking at it another way, though, you can experiment with lineups of Naz Reid and Randle. Both of them have the ability to shoot from the perimeter, and Naz Reid, can really get it going from out there and put the ball on the floor. Both of them can do that. So you actually now have a lineup where you have the potential to play 5 out at times. That can open up the court for Ant-Man a little bit, and Dante DiVincenzo in there too. So it should be some lineups that allow, some more spacing at times too with this team. So it's going to be nice to see, man. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time.